Hello and welcome to another episode of Inside the Boardroom. I'm your host, Mel Schaefer. Now, White Gold Corp holds a dominant land position in the Yukon's White Gold District, with 21 properties covering 300,000 hectares. Its flagship project boasts over 2.3 million ounces of gold in indicated and inferred resources, with additional discoveries near major deposits owned by Newmont and Western Copper and Gold. Here with me today is David D'Onofrio, CEO of White Gold. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It is great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Can you start by giving investors an overview of White Gold Corp?
Absolutely. White Gold's a very unique and exciting company. I'm also principal to Power One Capital Group. We're a fully integrated merchant bank based in Toronto. We've been investing and financing junior exploration development for over 20 years now. We've been fortunate to be involved with some of the highest profile success stories where we live that dream of a junior exploration company from grassroots project, discovery, right through to acquisition by a major or being put into production. And this company really checks all the boxes of what we've seen with some of our other big success stories. Some of them, that come to mind that listeners may be familiar with Continental Gold. That's an incredible project, 10 million ounces at 10 grams, acquired by Zijin for $2 billion. We're actually partners again with the same management team in Collective Mining, who's on to another wild discovery. Osino Resources, that was a discovery in Namibia, was acquired last year. And we've done it right through the cycle, different commodities. And this opportunity came to us from Sean Ryan. Sean Ryan's a notorious prospector, and what he was able to do in Canada, it was almost sounded too good to be true at the time. And what made that so exciting for us is when we're looking at these opportunities, there's a lot of different factors you need to bring into consideration. Right? Mining and exploration is a very risky business, so what you want to do is mitigate those risks as best as possible. The first thing and foremost that we look at, what is the size of the prize? It needs to have a huge opportunity for a huge reward to manage, all the time and effort it takes into it to make it really worth everyone's while. This one far and away exceeded anything we've been looking at for a long, long time. And why is that? This project, our properties are located in the Klondike district of the Yukon. This was the epicenter of the infamous gold rush, which started over 100 years ago. Since that time, there's been over 20 million ounces of placer gold mined in this area, but it wasn't until Sean Ryan and his team with a very unique exploration methodology went there that was able to crack the code and start to find some of the sources, placer gold, and additional instances of gold mineralization in the bedrock. Typically, you'll see orders of magnitudes of hard rock gold when you have these placer camps, and it's incredible that in a place like the Yukon in Canada where it's so mining friendly that no one's actually gone there, but the reason they didn't is because this area is not glaciated. So the typical prospecting tools didn't work. Sean comes from Timmins, comes from a mining camp, he saw what's going there, and he went there and said, guys, I see how much gold's in Timmins, I have a feeling there could be that much or more, and his dream, which we're starting to see come true now, is to find that much gold, which is exciting on its own. We see these other discoveries in the area that he actually made with these other companies. But what else makes White Gold so unique is that we've actually tied up the entire district. So this company, when we look at it, we decided to invest and we're able to bring in some, the most sophisticated investors in the world, including Agnico, Kinross, and other financial institutions, is we believe this has the opportunity to be an actual district, as though we were going back in time and able to own 300,000 hectares in Timmins, in the Abitibi, in the Nevada goldfields. And that to us is extremely rare, and why we were so thrilled to partner with Sean and why we were able to bring in these other sophisticated investors.
Yeah, and it comes at a good time with gold at $3,150 an ounce. What does that mean for White Gold?
It's wild to see gold here. I think everyone sort of saw it going there. Maybe it took a little longer than we thought. For us, it's all a bonus, right? When we're looking for these discoveries, we're not relying on $3,000 gold to make them work. We have this incredibly high-grade gold deposit in our portfolio, which we've discovered. It's actually now ranked as the 5th highest grade deposit, open pit deposit in Canada, over 2 million ounces owned by a junior. Something like that works at a much lower gold price. And that's, as a practical business person, you always want to be working off the conservative estimates. We've looked at it, we've done the work. We know that this thing can and will get much larger, and it will be, I think, incredibly robust at much, much lower gold prices. So anything that happens up here, every dollar goes up, that's just additional margin, additional return and to the investors. So it's an exciting time. It's a particularly exciting time in the gold investment community because we're seeing now what I think most people will agree is the beginning of a very significant gold market. It started about maybe a little bit less than a year ago. Listen, things can change. We don't know. But if we continue to move in the direction that has been, the gold cycle on the equity side is starting to play out as people thought it would, right? First, you see the majors going, the mid-tiers, the larger exploration companies, and eventually that money is going to filter down into the smaller exploration companies. As things stand now, we're just starting to see that about 9 months into the cycle, right about when you expect to see. But the unique opportunity is the commodity price is up, the equities haven't. So that's your opportunity as an investor, if that's something you're looking to do, and hope to sort of participate in that re-rating. Actually, as things stand today, there's never been a greater disparity in the commodity price and the equity prices. So, not here to give financial advice, but listen, it sounds compelling. We're major shareholders. I've continued to buy in the market just because I believe everything we're here to say. I think we're in a very unique opportunity from people that are interested in investing in these type of companies in the cycle.
Yeah, so it sounds like you've got gold really well covered. What other critical minerals or metals?
It's actually amazing you ask. This land is huge. It's not surprising to perhaps find other instances of other metals. The Yukon is one of the best endowed provinces or territories in Canada from a geological perspective. And so while we've been working up and expanding our existing deposit and making new discoveries within our portfolio, that same technique we've used has also identified several very significant base metal targets. There's 2 or 3 which we think are just outstanding. They're primary copper targets. And what makes us actually even more excited about them is their proximity to Western Copper and Gold, which hosts the Casino deposit. That is one of the largest copper porphyry deposits in Canada. It also has a big gold component, 20 million ounces of gold, 14 billion pounds of copper. These porphyries happen in clusters, and we're all around it. So we have 2 enormous copper gold porphyry targets. We've done all the soil geochemistry. We've done the geophysical work. These things have never been drilled. So they are now become also of extreme merit, and especially in this type of a base metal environment, something that's really become a focus amongst our partners and the investment community. So what we're thinking of doing to be able to sort of realize the value, it's kind of getting buried with a lot of our gold opportunities. Maybe the story gets confusing. To help address that, we're going to isolate these properties and actually spin them out to a new company. So we'll have the gold-focused company and the base metal-focused company, and shareholders of White Gold will be able to sort of have interest in both of them.
Yeah, that's really interesting. In terms of drilling, what's the plan? We're coming up into this sort of summer season.
So yeah, we're heading into our season right now. We're fully financed for this year. We're in the final stages of putting together our exploration plan. So I can't get into too much details. It hasn't been announced yet, but I think we can look forward to some very exciting activity this year. We had a big discovery last year on a target called Chris Creek. It's very close to our flagship deposit. What we've been doing actually to expand our known resources is instead of delineating our core ore body, we've been looking for other zones of, and that's been extremely successful. We find targets, we drill them, we see that there's ounces there, we define that, but then we move on to find another one and another one. And I think as a junior, you really want to be able to show that upside prospectivity, and that's what we've been able to do. Last year, we identified a target called the Chris Creek target. It is actually the largest and most intense soil anomaly we've ever had on our property. It looks very similar to our flagship Golden Saddle deposit, so we're very interested in the prospects. That it's enormous. It's over 2.5 kilometers long, open on both ends. Actually, the strongest results were right on the edges, so we're extremely excited about that. And it's on a 5-kilometer trend where we've identified other targets. So that area definitely needs more work. The other areas where I think we'll spend a little more time is on these copper targets. They are very interesting, high grades. Where the location is, like we mentioned, it's also in that area is the Newmont's Coffee deposit. That's over 2 million ounces. We're right along the same structure that hosts those trends. We've made other gold discoveries. It's just an incredibly rich mineralogical area. And so that is definitely going to get some more work this year.
So when you have a couple of big shareholders, can you talk a little bit about that?
For sure. So we're really fortunate to have Agnico and Kinross as 2 of our major shareholders, along with the Power One Capital Group and Sean Ryan. these are some of the best, if not the best, mining companies in the world. So from us, it just totally validates our vision of us being in the very early days of a new, exciting gold camp in Canada. They've been incredible partners. They help us technically. They've obviously helped us financially. And it's just, we're so privileged to be able to work with them. And I think, as an investor looking into this type of opportunity, when you see that you have some of the best and smartest people in the world that are investing in this district, that's,
Yeah. Yeah. And just lastly, I wanted to ask you, what can investors be looking forward to in not only the near term, but also in 12 or even 18 months?
Yeah, I think there's tremendous opportunity here, right? So we have these defined ounces that is going to continue to grow, right? So personally, bias obviously incredibly undervalued at this point in time. This will start to get more value as the cycle continues to evolve, but we do believe that what we see there has tremendous upside for growth. It's very exciting. I look at it like that's the meat and potato. You can put a value on that. We also have a very extensive grassroots new discovery type pipeline. We've made several new discoveries in the last couple of years. One of the more significant ones on our Betty property, which is contiguous to Newmont's Coffee project. We were drilling 3.5 grams per ton over 50 meters from surface. It's a very interesting area. So I do plan to spend more time making more of these new discoveries. I think that gives sort of like that blue sky potential, excitement. Like, we are early stage explorationists by heart. That's what we set this company up to do. We've been extremely successful in defining those ounces, and we continue to do that. But really, there's a ton of potential in these new targets throughout our portfolio. That's extremely exciting. And then again, we're going to see some more of that copper once that's spun out, potentially, bringing in a base metal focused team to really bring that to the next level. And you see other similar companies like that in Canada, in the Yukon, that are able to attract very significant values. And this is the market now where people are starting to realize, like, jurisdiction's always been important as a top criteria for us in looking at an opportunity. But in today's day and age, I don't think it's ever been more important than it is right now. So we really kind of check all the boxes here.
It's awesome. Well, it sounds very exciting. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, it's been great to be here. Our season's getting started in the very near term, so please stay tuned. I think it's going to be pretty exciting.